Hello everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Thursday Night Live. How's your Thursday? Hope you're having a great Thursday. Welcome, welcome, come on in. Let's have a little conversation. How's everybody doing? Turn down a little bit. So, I don't know if any of you saw the post that I put today about stress. I did a little post just to kind of get you thinking, what is stress? How do you define stress? How do you experience stress? Where do you experience stress? How does stress affect you at work, at home, in your personal life? And, a few people commented on there. But I just find it interesting because I was reading the Inc. magazine. I don't know if you've heard of it. I'm sure you have. It's about businesses, entrepreneurship. And they put an article on here about stress. And it says like 3 ways like stress helps you. 3 ways stress helps you. So one of the things is it's like knowing the difference between what's actual stress and what's mental chatter, mental crap, Hi Norma, good to see you here. So what's the difference between what's actual stress, A good friend of mine, defines stress as when your thoughts, feelings, and actions and results aren't in alignment with your true self. When your thoughts, feelings, actions, and results are not in alignment with your true self. Because if you think about that, a lot of times we end up working jobs that we don't really like, that we're not really happy at them, they're not in alignment with who we are. They're not in alignment with our purpose. Sometimes we don't even know what our purpose is. What are we here to do? We're just trying to pay the bills, survive. We've all been there. We all do that, at some point or another. And so if you're in that environment, that can be stressful. That can create stress. More importantly, we don't leave our personal selves at home when we come to work. Whether you work in the medical industry, whether you work in a law office, whether you work in HEB, wherever you work, you don't put on a uniform or at a factory or a plant, and you don't put on a uniform and walk into work and you all of a sudden leave your personal self at home. And that's for everybody, including your managers and your supervisors and the owners. Everybody brings their personal selves to work. So if you still have things you have to work through, whatever fears you have, whatever insecurities you have, you're bringing that to work. It doesn't matter what level of employee you are. You could be the manager, you can be the owner. You're bringing that stuff to work. And so oftentimes we wonder, why isn't things working out? Why is my boss talking to me like that? Why is that employee talking to me like that? What is my coworker doing that? It all stems from within themselves and their own fears and they're working through their own stuff. So you had a fight at home. Something happened. You didn't pay a bill. Something happened. You think that you're going to leave that at home? You don't think that's going to affect you at work? It will. And so that's going to constantly be going in your back of my mind. The argument is going to be going in the back of your mind. And so then guess what? Now you're trying to be productive at work and you're really not going to be. You're going to bring that stuff to work. And so that's what I'm talking about, the difference between actual stress and the mental crap that's going on in our heads. That's the stuff that we are feeling, that we're calling stress, that most people call stress. So if I have a fear of failure and I have a deadline that I'm trying to meet, and by some reason I'm not clear, I'm not connected, I'm just not flowing, and that fear is going to come up. And guess what? You're going to be putting self-induced stress over the fear of failing because you're not going to meet that deadline, or you're not going to finish that report, or you're not going to finish the work. And so that stuff comes up as well. And so we're calling that stress, but really it's just the mental chatter, the mental crap going on, I call it self-induced stress. And so one of the things another note that I have here is that stress, what we're calling stress, involves a perceived lack of control. All that stuff in our heads, all those fears, are making us feel like we're out of control. Like the situation is out of our hands, it's out of our circumstances, so that causes stress. Another one is stress always begins with how you think. And how you think determines how you feel, both emotionally and even physically. Okay? When your thoughts create strong emotions, positive or negative, your brain releases a hormone that spreads the emotional news to the body. So we're calling that stress. Okay, we're feeling it in the body. Now, I was watching the documentary Brain Games. In the documentary Brain Games, you can find it on Netflix. It says that we're constantly in a fight or flight mode, but that our fight or flight isn't always accurate. We have almost like a default setting where our brain cannot distinguish the difference between a real threat and a false alarm. Okay, so that's another thing to take into consideration. Are we seeing things clearly? Are we really seeing things as they are? Or are we letting our brain play trick on us? And that's something you want to watch. Brain Games is amazing. I learned so much. But in this article in Inc. magazine, they talk about tension versus stress. They say that tension gives you a sense of urgency. And so, which they say it's a good thing most of the time. And so they talk about like 4 different things here. And it's funny because it has a picture of like chewed up pencils, people stressing out. So it says like 1, it makes you more aware. So it says like on a high alert, you're more likely to absorb information, which leads to increased productivity. And I remember, being in school and doing things last minute and leaving things for the last minute. That pressure kind of pushes us a little bit. It kind of releases a little bit of adrenaline, and it just kind of pushes us to get it done. For some people that's not good pressure, that's not good tension, but for a lot of us it is. And then it says number 2, it shows you have a heart. So it says 1 key reason you're feeling the stress is because you care about what you're doing. You care. Hey Nan, how you doing? Love you, friend. So you have a heart. So you care about what you're doing. You care about your job. You care about the company. You care about your coworkers. You care about the mission. So that's another part, is because you care and you want to make sure that it gets done, that it gets done properly. Then it says number 3, it helps you enjoy the calm. So it says consider how worrying will make you more likely to be appreciative when things are peaceful. And that's so true. One of the things that I teach and I preach is the contrast is really important. You can never know one experience without experiencing its contrast. You can't know light without knowing dark. You can't know dark without knowing light. The day needs the night to become the day. The night becomes the day to become the night. They kind of each feed into each other. Where one ends, the other one begins, etc., etc. The definition of one defines the other. So everything in life comes in polar opposites. And so the contrast is really important. But we tend to kind of resist the contrast when it's in the negative, instead of just looking at it as a learning experience, because it's just a contrast. It teaches us about the other. And as a whole, then we experience the wholeness of that thing that we're learning. Then number 4, it says, beware of irrational thoughts, which is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of the video, is beware of irrational thoughts. So there is real stress out there. Hey, Nan, sending lots of hearts, likes, and loves your way. Listen up, people. He's awesome. You're so sweet, Nan. Thank you so much. So again, beware of irrational thoughts. There's real stress, and then there's stress that you create, which leads to unproductive fears. Focus on what's important. And that's so true. That's exactly what most of us are experiencing, and we call it stress, is the irrational thoughts, the stories in our head, the assumptions that we're making about A, B, C, or X, Y, Z, And that's the part that we really have to watch out for. Because again, yes, there's tension, yes, there's pressure, and that can be good for us. But at the same time, what's really causing the conflict is what's going on in here. And that's where the mindfulness practice comes very in handy, because when you have a mindfulness practice, when you meditate, you learn to kind of detach a little bit from that train of thoughts in your head, and you can objectively observe rather than react to them, because you really believe the story in your head. You believe it's true. You believe the assumption. You believe the fear. And it may not be real. You could honestly just be making it up, And so that's where the mindfulness practice becomes really, really beneficial. So the reason I put stress for success in the title is because stress can be helpful. But use it to help you. Know the difference between actual stress, which is the pressure of getting something done, that deadline is approaching, versus your mental chatter, your irrational thoughts. Okay, let's see. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. What do we have coming up? May 7th, which is a Sunday, I'll be speaking at Unity Church of Bernie. Unity Church of Bernie. Great info. Thank you, Norma. I appreciate it. So how do you guys experience stress? What's your experience of stress? Put it in the comments. Send me a message. I got the Dear Angel podcast coming out. It's also on La Prensa San Antonio under the editorials section. If you go online, you'll see some of the episodes there. So feel free to write me a message. Some of you are writing me through the Facebook inbox, and then I'll create an episode just for you. The episode, if you haven't heard it yet, it starts off with, the message that you send me with the question that you have about a particular issue that you're going through. And then I just give you my perspective on it and any suggestions that could be helpful and beneficial to you. And then at the end, I usually play a song that kind of connects to the subject. I love music. So you can tell I have music in the background. I always play music at the beginning of this video. And music moves us, and it can help us learn and connect with something, something within us, something beyond us. And so if you get a chance and you really have a question and you don't want to comment it on the live video, or you don't want to comment it on a public post, message me and I'll make an episode for you. I always keep everything very anonymous, so I never mention any names. I will always call the person a listener or a follower, and there's no names being mentioned, so I honor and respect your anonymity. So send it in, And again, May 7th, I'll be at Unity Church of Bernie. And May 3rd, which is this coming Wednesday, 10 a.m. is the Mental Fitness for Diabetes Therapy Group, in collaboration with Alamo Wellness Group, my colleague Valerie Machagamba. We're going to be starting that up. There's also 2 other groups that are going to be happening, which is the dealing with breakups, whether it's separation or divorce or just a regular breakup. And then we're going to be doing teenagers, parenting and adolescents. So I believe that the registration closes on the 30th of this month. And then after that, we're just going to have to keep a lookout for when the next groups are going to start meeting, because there's 6 weeks groups. Let's see what else. Oh, May 20th, I'm going to be at the Natural Grocer off of, what's that street? Alamo Heights and North New Braunfels Street. Lunchtime, 11 to 12-ish time frame, 11 to 12:30. And I'm going to be doing like a wellness assessment, taking a look at the different aspects of your life, and then finding the limiting beliefs that are causing the blueprint that you have in that area, whether that's relationships, whether that's money, whether that's business, whether that's your emotional state, your intellectual aspect, your physical aspect. we have thoughts that create the blueprint for how we're living our life. And so this little wellness assessment that I created kind of gives you an overview or a snapshot of what your life looks like and why it looks like up to date. And then it also gives you the opportunity to change it and create, a new life, that's more in line with who you are today. So that's May 20th, 11 o'clock at the Natural Grocers on New Braunfels Street on Alamo Heights. May 7th, I'll be speaking at Unity of Bernie. And I think that's it for now. Of course, keep it posted, keep following, like the video, comment, share it with your friends. Spread the word if you like, and this is helpful to you. Share it with people. You never know who's listening and who might be helped by the information. And I always welcome ideas for topics. People sometimes send me ideas for topics. Put it in, and we'll talk about it. So, thank you again. I really appreciate seeing you for a little bit, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Love you.